Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I'm finally back. So, I had some computer troubles that were my own fault, so I had to send my computer away for a while. Finally got it back a lot sooner than I thought, than I was worried. So I am back, and this was one of my subscribers suggested they had suggested me some ideas for videos, and they talked about they had a list of types of characters I could talk about, and one of the two that I wrote down was comic relief characters and hateable characters. So today I'm going to film a video about characters I hated, and don't worry, it's not going to be 100. I only did 100 because, like I said, as a way to celebrate that I got 100 subscribers. Although, because unfortunately I was away, it's back down to 99 subscribers, which is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that you guys, who I have right now. So I hope you guys enjoy my list of my small list, actually, of hateable characters. First I write down on a piece of paper. Okay, so first is actually a character that I just read the book. I'm gonna do a review soon, but because I didn't have my computer, I couldn't type a review. But that is a character from The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, the first book in the first Law trilogy. And that character, and I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but Jazel or Jazel, Dan Luther. He is so they have, in the story, they have people divided by upper class and lower class, like commoners versus nobles, and this character is a noble, and he is the most arrogant son of a bitch in the story, and it will take a lot for me to like this character. Now, it's a good character, but as far as liking him as a person, oh my god, I just hate him so much. He has such a huge ego, and I just want to strangle him. He thinks he thinks he's better than everybody else. Like, so he is in the military to please his dad, thinking, and he has in his head that, like I said, that he's better than everybody else. He's automatically made a captain because he's a noble, and, you know, it's all about who you know kind of thing. And, like, he is so, so his roommate, Wes, that's not his first name, I can't remember the guy's first name, he, has his sister staying with him for briefly, hiding in their, you know, in their room, and he asked Giselle to babysit her, and I swear Giselle's first thought is, oh, I hope she's not ugly because she's a commoner. And she's not. She ends up being very clever and charming and very beautiful, and he does eventually fall in love with her, but he thinks she's gonna be ugly because she's a commoner. And, like, you know, I didn't feel sorry for him when he realized that because at first he doesn't realize that she does not like him. And he's so surprised by this. You know, that, oh my god, someone doesn't like me. And and it's like, really? You're surprised that someone doesn't like you? And, like, when he realizes, when it's pointed out to him that he's in love with her, and he knows that, oh, she hates me or doesn't like me, or like as much as I like her, I didn't even feel sorry for him at all, because he is such an ass. And just, like, Wes ends up getting, because there's a war going on in this world, and Wes is, like, his boss or whatever is, you know, tells him, you are the most qualified to lead this army, because you will listen to orders, you have the skills to do the job and to save us. And meanwhile, I swear, Giselle has this thought cross his mind. He's like, oh, I'm more qualified because I have the right blood. And it's like, your enemies don't care about your blood. They don't care if you're a noble. I mean, in fact, which is funny because they keep calling their enemies savages. And it's like, so you actually think that they would care if you had the right blood, if you were of a noble house. It's like, no, they would not. They're just going to kill you either way. They will fight you either way. It doesn't matter what your blood is. And like, there's this, his plot is he's competing in this contest where, a fencing contest, which is basically sword fighting, if you don't know. And he, and I just so wanted him to lose so that he would at least be humbled by the experience. And it's just, I just cannot stand him. The one, like, there are some arrogant characters that are charming and somewhat likable, but he's not one of them. Not for me anyway. And it's going to take a lot for me in the next 2 books for me to actually like him. Like, there's one scene when he ends up joining up with he joins up with a group of characters, and, like, he's forced to join them. He doesn't want to go. He believes he should be on the battlefield and has that whole mentality of, oh, I'm going to die in glory. Which I don't understand, but of course, how could I understand as a woman? And it's like, I do not understand. That whole idea of, oh, I'm going to die, go to war and die in glory is stupid to me. To me, it's, like, stupid. I mean, it's admirable if you want to go and, do it because you want to help people. You want to be someone who can save the world, but, help, fine. If you want to do it to help everybody and to save everybody and to protect us here and protect the human race and all that, then that's fine. But don't, I don't get the whole idea of joining, being a soldier because, it's so glorifying. I'm going to die in glory, I just don't understand that. And so he's pitching a hissy fit because, he has been brought together with all these other characters against his will, you could argue. And he's all upset. And he notices one of the other members who is probably terrified of all these other, and doesn't want to go either, and Giselle's thinking in his head, why are you upset? My problems are worse than yours. Not those exact words, but basically along those lines. It's like, oh, so you think you're the only one who has problems? That how dare someone else be worried about their own problems? I mean, the guy wasn't even complaining. He just noticed he looked upset and he looked worried. He's like, how dare you get upset and worry about your own problems? My problems are bigger than yours. And it's like, I do not like that. I don't like when people compare their problems. Yeah, there are some people who have really the worst problems than anyone. Like, my problem with my computer can compare to people that can't get food. Or have, or orphans or whatever. Yeah, that my problems cannot compare to theirs. But still, people that, it's funny, I feel like those are the people that don't say anything. That try to do the best they can to survive. That's all they care about. They're not all like, how dare you compare your problems to mine? It's the people that don't need to be complaining about comparing problems that have that response of, how, you're not allowed to compare your problems to mine. My problems are worse than yours, supposedly. I cannot stand him. I hate Giselle. And it's going to take a lot for me to like him. He's a good written character, though. He's a good written. The play itself, these characters are really, really great. Okay, next is one I'm sure I'm not the only one who hates this character. And that is Joffrey Lannister from Song of Ice and Fire series by George R. R. Martin. Oh my god, Joffrey is a sadistic little prick. You just hate his guts, and you want to do, you just want to cut off his head like he did to Ned Stark. So his biggest problem is partly because he's been spoiled by his mother. I mean, the one good thing about Cersei Lannister is that she loves her kids more than anyone will do anything to protect them. She's a good mama there. She doesn't set the best example for them, and she lets them get away with stuff, and doesn't exactly prepare them, but she focuses all her attention on Joffrey because he's the one who could be king one day. He's the one that will take Robert Baratheon's place, even though technically he's not Robert Baratheon's biological child. He will take Robert Baratheon's place on the Iron Throne, and so she puts all of her focus on them. And she loves her other two kids, but I feel like she doesn't prepare them like she did Joffrey. But she prepared Joffrey to be a spoiled brat who always thinks he's going to get what he wants because he's a king. And he is such a sadistic little bastard. And Sansa Stark is set to marry him because, Ned's daughter, Ned is Robert Baratheon's best friend. So they think let's get our children to get married, our two oldest children to get married. And Sansa's all she has these illusions of being a princess, and she's all excited and thinks she's in love with Joffrey. But throughout the series, he constantly bullies her and abuses her, and she learns the hard way that this ain't no fairy tale. And he starts to bully Sansa's little sister Arya, who Arya and Sansa have a very antagonistic relationship. Which is typical of which can be, typical of sisters. Not always. I mean, my relationship with my sister was not as bad as theirs, but in fact, I had a great relationship with my sister compared to theirs. It wasn't perfect, but it was great. It was better than theirs, and he is mocking, bullying Arya, and then. The Starks have these direwolves that protect them, so her direwolf goes after Joffrey to protect Arya from this little sadistic prick, to defend her. And Sansa, of course, takes Joffrey's side because she's in love with him and thinks she's gonna marry him, and she's probably also scared of his mom. And I hate, and he has his mom he insists they kill the direwolf. And I hated him so much for that. Luckily, I think her direwolf does escape. And then, on top of that, there's, the whole conflict of the story is that, Ned suspects the Lannisters are up to something, that they might have killed the Hand of the King, Robert's hand, who is the head advisor and all that, and he starts figuring out that the three Lannister children are not Robert Baratheon's children, and that they might be the children of Jaime Lannister, Cersei's brother, because she fell for. And so they end up, he ends up getting betrayed and everything, and so he's put on, he's put on trial, and Cersei promised that her dad would live. He would just be exiled. Promised that Ned would be exiled, but of course Joffrey has to have his own way, and he's like, no, I'm gonna cut off his head, put it on a pike, and make Sansa stare at the head. It's oh my god, I just hated him. And then, of course, he ends up dumping Sansa, which in a way that, at least got away. She was no longer had to be married to him because she slowly realized that he's a sadistic bastard. But they're not going to leave. Of course, she's reminded that they're not going to leave her alone. She's not getting out of this. She may not have to marry Joffrey, but she's still, she's still stuck with the Lannisters. So he he ends up being trying to torment this other woman that's, who sets her family as I think it's the Tullys? I don't remember. But no, not the Tullys. The Tullys are Catelyn's family. There's so many families in this series, Song of Ice and Fire. But I do not remember the family that's their symbols, the flower and all that. Their daughter wants to marry Joffrey, so he tries to mess with her. Although she proves she can handle herself, and that, her biggest threat is actually not Joffrey, but she has to deal with Cersei, his mom. But yeah, oh my god, I hate him so much. He's such a horrible little prick. Oh, and it's funny though. It's so funny when you find out that the actors that play these horrible characters in movies and TV shows are actually the nicest, sweetest people. In fact, the actor who played him had to, decided to quit acting or at least take a break from it. I don't know if he's coming back to acting. And I think that playing the part of Joffrey was like too much for him almost. I kind of feel bad for him, but yeah, he did a great job though. But Joffrey Lannister, I just hate him, and he deserves what he gets. Okay, next is a character I don't remember as well. I don't even remember if this is the right name, but Steerforth from David Copperfield. I don't have a lot to say about him. I do need to reread David Copperfield though. But I just remember him being such a, another chauvinistic, arrogant bastard. He's such a jerk and manipulates David. Kind of like is a corrupting influence. I mean, he's not as bad as he's kind of more in the vein of Giselle, where he doesn't have as much. They don't have as much power as Joffrey does. As Joffrey does, but still, he has some authority. And like, David wants status. He wants to be a gentleman. So Steerforth basically takes advantage of things and manipulates things. I mean, although he's not the worst character though. The true villain of David Copperfield is actually Uriah Heap. So he's another character that should be on this list. Uriah Heap is such a slimy little dick. He's that character I noticed that Dickens, in some of his books, the characters that he has, there are characters that turn out to be antagonists that will repeat that they are a certain way, constantly remind you that they have this personality. They are humble or, parochial, and that to me is a sign for, okay, that person is not, they just want you to believe that they are when they really do not have that trait. He's constantly saying, him and his mother are constantly saying that they're humble, although they say humble, they don't pronounce the H. But I think it's like showing the British accent, one of the British accents. But he's constantly saying, oh, I'm so humble, I'm such a humble person, a humble man. It's, to me that's a sign for, okay, that's not true. You really aren't that. You're just trying to make people believe you are. So Uriah Heap is probably worse than Steerforth. He's just such a slimy git. And he's so creepy, and he's that kind of person who's like, tries to get on your good side. Pretend that he's your friend, but then he turns his back and he stabs you in the back. And he reminds me a little bit of Jafar from Aladdin, a little bit. So he's worse than Steerforth, but I hate both them. Next, we're talking all these last few characters are all from classics. Next we have from Mansfield Park, Miss Norris. So our main character Fanny is sent to live with her relatives, because her parents have so many kids and they're very poor, so they can't really afford to take care of her. And it's her and her older brother are both gone. Her older brother is in the Navy, and she lives with these people, these relatives, and she of course is very appreciative of it. She is so grateful, and but she also sticks to her principles and doesn't let them manipulate her into doing things. And Miss Norris, she has two aunts. She's one that's kind of lazy and just is all like, you do whatever you want. And then Miss Norris is the more domineering one. And she's the more bossy one, and it's her way or the highway mentality. And she does everything, and and she basically bosses and bullies Fanny constantly, and has to remind her that she should be more grateful and more appreciative. And it's like apparently it's not enough for her. She doesn't it's like you almost think she wants to Fanny get down on her knees and beg and be like, oh, I'm so grateful and I'll do anything to show how grateful I am. And it's like, that's not Fanny's way. That's not who she is. She's not going to sacrifice her principles and her beliefs. And like there's her cousins are doing this play, Lovers Vows. I don't know if it's Shakespeare or maybe not Lovers Vows. I don't know what, but it's a play that is like for the time period it was wrong and inappropriate, and then their father would not approve of it, but he's not there. He's away on business. So, and they are convinced to do it because like these new people their new neighbors, the Crawfords, show up and seduce the cousins and make charm them and win them over, and they try to convince them to do this play that is really inappropriate, and Fanny knows it's inappropriate and refuses to do it. They keep asking her because they think she is perfect for some of the smaller parts, and they beg her to do it, but she's like, no, I'm sticking to my beliefs and principles, and I don't want to do this. She's the only one who doesn't cave in and doesn't do it. But Miss Norris is like, you should do it because you should be appreciative. You're lucky that your cousins want you to do this play. And it's like, I just cannot stand her. It's like, really? What does she have, like I said, what does she have to do to prove how grateful she is? And it's just like, she kind of reminds me a little bit of, in Pride and Prejudice, I cannot remember her name. I don't know if she was Darcy's godmother, Lady Catherine, I think it was. Although, like, she's not as, like, Miss Norris is a lot louder. Put it that way. I mean that metaphorically. I don't mean like she shouts and stuff, but she's a lot more boisterous and louder with her opinions. And very judgmental. And like I said, she just is so mean to Fanny, who is this very meek, timid girl who is very appreciative, and she's just plain mean to her. And like the thing that bugged me the most was how she was like, oh, you should be more appreciative and more grateful, And then of course she, like, Henry Crawford's one is when her two female cousins are gone. One of them is married and the other one is left. I don't know if she's married or she's gonna get married or not, but he's all of a sudden interested in Fanny, and she sees through his bullshit. And Miss Norris and her uncle both insist you should marry him. He's rich, he's handsome, you couldn't do any better. And she sticks to her guns despite the fact that people like Miss Norris constantly bully her. But oh my god, I cannot stand people that just bully other people into doing things. I mean, it's just like I'm just thinking they are so such idiots, for thinking that Henry Crawford would be a good husband for Fanny. And it's just I can't stand. I mean, I am so glad I don't have any relatives in my family that are, well, that's not entirely true, but that's a whole other story. But next is, okay, so this is one I talked about in my 100 memorable characters, and it's because she's so hateable and so that she's memorable. And that's Kathy from East of Eden. Kathy is such a manipulative bitch. She is so, like, she manipulates Adam Trask into falling in love with her. She kills her and kills her parents, sets fire to her. I think she killed her parents and set fire to her own house. She ends up, threatening to abandon her children after, and like not considering the fact that she was choosing to have sex with Adam and they wouldn't have I don't think they had protection in that time period. So she chose to have sex with him, so there was a pretty good chance that she would get pregnant. And she abandons that because she doesn't want to be a wife and a mother. She gets a job at a whorehouse and manipulates the woman, the matron of the whorehouse, to become her best friend, to see her as a favorite and as a beloved friend. And then she slowly poisons the woman and manipulates her and reduces her to being afraid, but also clinging to Kathy and needing her, but also being terribly afraid of her, and reducing her to being incredibly sick and weak, and begging Kathy to spare her and leave her alone. And Kathy is just so bitter. And, Adam finally is able to visit her a couple times. And she just tries to taunt him and tries her best to keep him wrapped around her little finger, even though she's not, and just, she's that person. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Faith from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That mentality of, oh, all men are beasts, and I know exactly, what to, I understand men better. I understand people better than you do. They're all the same. She's this bitter way of thinking about men and, and people in general. And just, she's like such a hateful person. And so manipulative, and just, there's one other thing that she did that was good. What was the other? And just, like I said, she manipulated Adam into falling in love with her, and at one point basically reduced him to, and had gotten to fall so hard for her that when she left, he couldn't believe it. He was emotionally numb, and he just ignored his kids completely, which that's partly on him as well, but she manipulated him, kind of fall so hard for her that he just felt emotionally numb and just imagined that, oh, she's gonna come back. And it's just like, you pity the guy and you want to shake him and be like, you deserve better. This woman is a bitch. She doesn't love you. She hates you. She doesn't care anything about you. She has reduced you to this pathetic lump and has abandoned the children. You have kids that need your love and need you to teach them and take care of them. And all you do is just mope around that you lost the love of your life, even though she was a horrible person, and you deserve better. And just what she reduces Adam to just makes me to hate her so much. Not that Adam was a saint. He was kind of horrible. He was not that nice. And the last person I want to talk about is more modern classics, and that is Tom Buchanan from The Great Gatsby. He is another arrogant male character that's just, which, again, I'm charmed by, there are some male characters that can be charming, and they're also, they can also be good characters, like, you can still hate a character, but them to be a well-written, good character, even if you hate their guts. It means the writer did their job. And the writer, in the case of movies and TV shows, the actor also did their job to make you feel such strong feelings for them. I definitely have to remind myself, because sometimes it's like, I think about that, and it's like, I wonder, do people consider that a bad character? Or do they not, do they realize that just because I say I hate the character doesn't mean that they're a bad character? It's just, as a person, they're a good character. It's very confusing. It can be, I feel like it can be somewhat confusing. But that could just be me. But that is, like I said, that's Tom Buchanan. So in this story we have Nick is our main character, and he's staying next door to his cousin Daisy, who is married to Tom, But years ago, she had a love affair with this young man who was very poor and didn't have a lot of money. But she fell in love with him, and he with her, and he disappears from her life, and she ends up marrying Tom because he's more socially acceptable. He's rich and still a nice, handsome man. And, well, not so nice, but rich and handsome. And so years later, and her mysterious lover comes back, and he has now created this new reputation, and he is now known as Jay Gatsby. He's rich, he's extremely rich, and he has, all these, he's these huge mansion of a house, has these parties, and he throws these parties because he's hoping that one day Daisy, who he knows is across the lake, will notice and will show up at one of these parties. And they will rekindle their love affair. And Nick gets caught in the middle, and he ends up intending to bring them back together. But Daisy's no saint either. She is kind of, to me, she's kind of a coward. But, I get the pressures and feel like she should stay loyal to her husband because he is her husband, and maybe part of her does love him. But she could have at least wrote Gatsby a letter or something if she couldn't go see him. But she never did. But as far as we know, she wasn't planning on. She just left him. She didn't even bother to call him because this was the time they had telephones, so she could have called him. But anyway, we're talking about Tom. So Tom is one of those. He's a bragger. He likes to brag about his money and talk about what he has and thinks he's better than everybody else. Again, like the other characters. Basically, I do not like people that. I don't mind arrogant. I can be entertained and charmed by arrogance, but sometimes it can go too far, in my opinion. Point of people think they're Sherlock Holmes. I'm charmed by his character, but I couldn't be friends with him because he seems to be smarter than everybody else, and yeah, technically he is, but there's no need to act like rub it in people's faces. Now, for him, I don't think he does it out of spite most of the time. I mean, I think he does love to mock Lestrade, but, anyway, but he's not like these male characters I mentioned. He's not as bad. He's kind of at times a little bit charming. I think having someone like, John Watson helps tone him down a little bit. But anyway, Tom is he thinks he's better than everybody else, and he acts all superior, and he likes to brag all the time. And on top of him, he having this beautiful wife Daisy is not enough for him. He goes having an affair with another in the story. He's having an affair with this woman in town, in the city, who is married to a mechanic and is not happy with her marriage, not satisfied with her marriage. And it's just, and it's yet at the same time, when he finds out about her relationship with Gatsby, her little rekindling of the old flame, he gets so mad, which, yeah, it's human nature. Your wife is cheating on you, you're gonna get pissed off, but at the same time, it's you're cheating on her, yet now you're mad at her all of a sudden because you find out that her and Gatsby haven't done anything. I mean, if anything, she's more emotionally cheating on him, because, but it's not she hasn't done the deed. She hasn't done anything with Gatsby except for go visit him and spend the whole day with him and just flirt and stuff, but she's never done anything like sex or anything like Tom has. And it's he's kind of a hypocrite, because it's oh, so you're having an affair, yet when you find out, you're all how dare you? It's you're doing the same thing. In fact, you're doing more than she is. And it's just, and he's all about reputation, and he's critical, judgmental of everybody. and puts Nick in very awkward positions. Like, I mean, and in the Chosen the Beautiful, which is a book written about the character of Jordan Baker, who is Daisy's friend. She's a golfer, and she's a pro golfer. And she and Nick kind of have a little thing going on. And they kind of add a lot. They add a lot more. The author of I cannot remember her name. The author who wrote The Chosen the Beautiful, she kind of added a lot more to Jordan Baker's character, expanded her a lot. Like, she's a Vietnamese, she's an orphan, she's and there might be she's queer, and so there might be she might have some feelings for Daisy. And there's a little bit of magical realism in the story. She has this little magic she can do with creating paper figures and then bringing them to life. And in that book, she sees right through Tom. She, pretends she's all, doesn't say anything, but she sees through his crap. And, which I loved. I love how she saw right through him. But he's a chauvinistic prick. And just thinks the whole world revolves around him and that he's superior to everybody. He's above everyone else. Which he's not. He is a dick. And he's not above everyone else. He's no different than the rest of those snotty little rich people. And I just, I'm trying not to, there's always that one phrase I use that I want to do to characters that I hate, that I'm trying not to use, but really, there's a lot of all these characters I just want to punch in the face. I'm trying not to say that because I feel like I overuse that. But yeah, there are a lot of characters that I just feel that way, that I can't stand them. So those are some hateable characters that I hate. But they're good, they're well-written characters. And the author the author is doing a good job at getting me to really have strong feelings about these characters. I'm sure there's plenty more characters I felt strong dislike for, but I just can't think of them at the moment. But anyway, what are some characters that you just hate? You just cannot stand in the story? Also talk about, not just book characters, but if you want to talk about characters from movies and TV shows, that's fine too. I would have included some, but like I said, I was trying not to have too many, and I was trying to stick to books this time around. So anyway, and thank you to the subscriber I do not remember his name, and I'm just like, this was kind of a last minute thing for me because I just got the computer back, but then it turns out I had to go into work, so I didn't get a chance to find who it was who suggested this, the guy who suggested this topic. So thank you for the suggestions. And please, if you acknowledge your sorry, I didn't mention your name. I didn't have the time to go look for you in your comment, or your name, but thank you for giving me these ideas. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and click subscribe if you are interested in if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below. I hope you are staying safe and healthy and enjoying your reading. All right, bye.